Got something new today in. We're going to open this up and show you what it is. Hey everybody, welcome back. Alright, so today I'm going to be showing you something that, in my opinion, everybody who is thinking about prepping or SHTF or survival or anything should invest in. And we're going to open this up. Got it yesterday. We're going to give this an open. I'm going to show you what it is. And then I'm going to explain why I think everybody who is in this type of mindset should invest in this. I've been wanting to get this for a while. I finally pulled the trigger and said, you know what, I'm going to get it. This is something that just something everyone should get. It's taped up pretty good here. They want to make sure I got it, I guess. It's like a little over $219, a little bit over $200, and it is absolutely a game changer when it comes to the survival game. Let's see here, 256.43 total. Okay, this is a key part of it. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. And as we have here, we picked up the Tactical Survival Bow. It does come with a carry case that doubles as a quiver. And a couple things about this. It's ambidextrous, so you don't have to buy any particular one. It does have hook and loop here. And just got a Velcro strap. And as you can, oh yeah, there are end caps on it. Now, one thing it doesn't come with is arrows, but the arrows, they break down and you can fit 3 of them in here. You alternate the fletchings, but and so basically you do it like this. Then this side here, you have 2 holes, and it's really simple. It's hand tight. Pull the pin out. Then you put it on this side. Pin back in. And it's easy because one side has 2 holes, the other side only has 1. And then now there's a couple models of this. There's one that's a little bit larger, and you don't have to rotate the arm. It just folds out. But that one does not have the internal storage. It is a little bit longer. It doesn't have the internal storage, and just like that, right? And then basically you tighten it down, you string it, and you're good to go. Now, I'm going to be doing a full review of this later. I just kind of want to open this up, show you what we got, and just talk about it a little bit, because this is one of those things that, especially if you live in certain states that have really stringent gun laws, this is something that you might want to consider investing in, practicing with, because it is archery, so it does take a lot of practice. But this is something that can be a real game changer in a survival situation. You can use it for hunting. You can use it for self-defense. I know I wouldn't want to be hit by an arrow. And this one is a 50-pound draw. They do come. I think there's a 55 and like a 45 or something like that. I got the middle one. 50-pound draw is good enough for what I need. And there should be a bowstring here somewhere. If not, I might be emailing the company. I understand the arrows are separate, but the bowstring should definitely be included. And then you have the end caps. Slide in. Alright, and then here you have, that's going to be your arrow rest. You put that on one side or the other. Again, once you set it up, you're probably not going to be switching back and forth between right and left hand anyway. So, there it is. And I'm pretty sure that the bowstring is in this other side here. And this is a ply ammo length 60 inches. There's your bowstring. You got your instruction manual here with it. And this is, again, I think that for $219, plus the shipping and everything, you can't go wrong with this. And so the bowstring stays in there. So once you've unstrung it, and there is hook and loop right here, so it closes up. And this should be small enough to fit in larger packs. So, like, I'm pretty sure that this will fit in the triple extra large M48 Ops pack we got. And so basically, you slide this down in there, and just like that. And then you can store additional arrows in here. The breakdown ones are the ones I still have to buy them. They come separately, which is fine. And then as you can see, you've got your, so you can actually wear this on your back, just like this. So if you have your arrows, you can just slide your arrows out when you're ready to hunt. And the reason that I got this is for hunting mainly, but this is just something that it's the size. You can pack this away in a backpack, and it's gonna look a lot less threatening as if you're carrying an actual bow. Like I have a compound bow too. I have crossbows. I have a compound bow, but this one here you can fold up. You can put in that pack, and no one even has to know you there. It's like I plan on getting an AR-7, which essentially is a 22 that folds in on itself. You put the barrel and the magazines in this buttstock, and that'll pack away. And then like this, that's why I have this fishing pole here. Because this thing it folds down, it packs away nice and small. And so all this stuff is key when you think about food acquisition, because you can carry more stuff that breaks down in a pack, and so now you're moving. And then when you get your camp set up and say, okay, so now we have our camp set up, we're gonna be here for a while. All right, we'll take out the bow, and we go hunt. Obviously, me personally, I'd have my handgun on me, available, concealed, of course, for protection while you're getting from point A to point B. But once you've gotten to where it's like, okay, this is where we're going to be setting up. Okay, we're in a bad situation. You know what? We've got water here. We've got a place where we can set up good shelter. So now we make our shelter. We have water. Well, now we have to go find some food. Okay, well, if we have water, we got a fishing rod. And, of course, along with that fishing rod, we're definitely going to include the auto cast ones that I just got. They're under somewhere. I gotta pause it. I'm reorganizing my office, so everything is a mess. But so you can put out your rig so you can automatically catch fish. You can put out some snares. I got some snares over here. When you put out your snares, you put out your automatic fishing rods. So you can catch fish. You can maybe trap small game, and then you can actually go out and hunt, or you can fish actively. And so, but by doing that, you are increasing your odds of getting food so that you can sustain yourself or whoever you're with. And you can make, better use of your calories because you set the snare and now it's hunting for you. You set the lines out, now it's fishing for you. Okay, now I can go focus on collecting firewood. I can go focus on purifying water. I can focus on improving my shelter because it's getting cold and I need to have better walls to protect me from the wind. You can focus your calories on that, then you can go back and you can check, okay, now I have food. But if you're already established, well, now it's like, you know what, we want some a little bit bigger game. Or perhaps the game is not falling for your snares. So you break out your bow. Okay, and you could use your rifle, but the thing is, and one of the reasons why I do prefer bows when it comes to hunting is they're a lot more silent. Even crossbows are a lot more silent than a firearm, because you might get that, you might string back, and or let's say you might shoot, you might get that one rabbit, and then something better gets away because of the sound of your rifle. However, you pull that bow back, you get that rabbit. And then it's like, oh, and then suddenly you realize that there's a buck right there. Well, now you have a deer, and so that's something that you really have to take into account. Is the fact that the silent aspect of hunting with a bow has a lot of advantages, and this bow in particular, because of the size and the way it folds down, really makes for a fantastic item to put into your pack. So, but anyway, that's why I got it. I do plan on now that I'm I've been fighting It's been a long haul, but I told you that things were changing for me in my life. Well, now I actually have a disability rating, and it's fairly high, and so now I'm able to get free hunting and fishing license. I'll be able to take more time off, be able to make better videos, not just sitting here at the desk, but actually going out there and doing stuff, because having to work and pay bills, it just it was just rough. And I'm hoping that eventually this, I'm working on another YouTube channel as well. It's completely different from this one. It's just kind of like, games and restaurants and stuff. but, but it's like, now that I'm going to have more time, it's like, I want to do some hunting. I want to do some fishing. I want to actually start, putting a lot of this stuff to actual use, go out and, maybe do an overnight camp somewhere, where it's like, yeah, it's you can't really like necessarily just camp out here in the city, but there's places to go. So, go do like, go out overnight somewhere and, and actually use the stuff and put it to the real test, yeah, let's say I may make a tent stake. I may put that tent up, but how well does it really handle, the weather? How well does it handle, you got that sleeping bag. Yeah, it feels nice here. But what about when you got it out on the ground, and you're on that sleeping pad, and how does it really hold up, against the elements? And I've actually, on one of my videos, I actually had someone ask, it's like, how long does this stuff actually hold up? And I don't think that's something that anybody has really ever put to the test, And so I plan on doing that, So maybe, over the course of the next couple of years, I want to use like, okay, I have my M48 Ops Triple XL backpack. I have my gear in it that I'm going to use, and actually put it, use that stuff consistently. Make a lot of videos with it, so we can show you, okay, yeah, it's still holding up. Yeah, it may not be the most expensive, it may not be the best gear out there, but it is doing the trick. It's like, hey, because it's like if you get an item and it's going to last you, 4 or 5 years, okay, yeah, you might be able to spend extra money and get something that's going to last 20 years. But if you can't afford that right now, but you can get something and it's going to last you at least 5 or 6 years, of wear and tear, then it might be a good trade-off until you can afford that better gear. So, and we're gonna start seeing better gear here on this channel as well, because, like I said, now that I'm in a much better place, I'm going to be able to actually, put more into the channel and actually get better stuff for the channel, because I have a lot more financial freedom now. And hopefully, if the channel takes off, hopefully at some point in time I'll be able to get monetized here on YouTube also. Who knows? If not, I'm still gonna make videos, because this is a catharsis. It's like a way for me to relax my mind and actually do a hobby that's I find fun. So, and the fact that there's so much things to do in life, and I think that we have forgotten that some of the simpler things that, yeah, it's work. Food acquisition is work. If you have to actually go out and hunt for your food, that's work. but it's also fun. It's well, it might not be fun for everybody, but but for it can be relaxing. Like fishing. Even if you don't catch anything, if you get out there and you're fishing, you're just relaxing. You're sitting in the shade, on the bank. You're sitting in a boat. I say bank because then you actually have the shade of the trees, but you can be sitting under a tree and just fishing and catch a few fish to eat later, but you can just relax and just for that brief moment, that those 3 hours, you can just forget about how fast the world is moving around you, and you can actually reconnect with yourself. So, and that's one of the reasons why I like fishing so much. I mean, fishing for me is like just such a relaxing thing to do, and I haven't done it in such a long time, and I just have this burning desire to get out there and just actually just fish for a whole day. Just do nothing but fish. Just sit out there and just relax. But if you're in a survival situation, that's important too, because you might be going through a lot of stress, There's a fire has torn through the community, and now you have to actually go somewhere, and to a campsite and live off the land for a little bit, even if it's in just a campsite, you may have to do that for a while, and you got all this. Oh, sorry. All this stuff racing through your head, and to sit there and actually just sit down and fish for a little while. Read a book. That's why I'm a big fan of books, and actual, and to be fair, I'm talking like actual real books, like this one here, right? The 80s Project, the horror of 1980, you can sit down and, and just read the book, not in off of actual pages. Is so much more relaxing. It's a good book, by the way. It's I don't know, Movie Timelines is another YouTube channel. I love his channel, and this guy Josh Spiegel, he does just some fantastic stuff, and I love the book. I plan on getting more of them. So, but and for me, it's kind of like reading what he thinks about these movies is relaxing. And it doesn't have to be that one, but you just find something to relax with. Whether it's that, whether it's something else. But yeah, all right. That's all I got for you today. But I did want to show you this tactical, this SAS tactical survival bow. This is the shorter of the two. They do have one that's a little bit longer. I got the shorter one because it's easier to maintain in a backpack. But this thing here is a really fantastic item to get in survival. And again, especially if you live in these crazy states that have like a lot of crazy gun laws, you might want to look into that, because you might not have the same restrictions with a bow as you do with a firearm. And again, if it comes down to food acquisition, that is a great way, but it does take practice. All right. Hey, do me a favor, if it's your first time on the channel, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you. Do me a favor, if you are subscribed, hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment, share this video out to what you think. Do you have this bow? Do you want this bow? Let me know. All right, until next time, keep prepping.